Hey, friends, we're on video number 4 of the things that we know that we wish we didn't say about our bodies, but we can't help but sometimes hear it in our heads and maybe agree with it or maybe be scared that it's true anyway. So this is Tracy Brown, and my team and I provide trauma-informed non-diet nutrition counseling so you can feel safe in your body and food just be food. So this is our 4th video on this, and I had so many comments on a prompt that I did this past weekend that I wanted to make sure that everybody just got, seen and heard, and we're going through all of them. So I only have a few minutes, and we're going to go through 3. I wrote down 3, and I'm going to address those tonight. And whatever and whomever haven't gotten to yet since Sunday, we will finish it either tomorrow. If it's looking like tomorrow's will be too long, the video will be too long, I will also finish it up on Saturday. So this is video 4. That means go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, today's Thursday. We'll have either 1 or 2 more days of videos on this topic, and we'll move on. So I'm hoping that you enjoyed this. If you're looking for, just before I get started, a place to do a little bit, kind of a master class on some body image decoding, um, I'm going to be doing that here this fall too. So if you're interested in that class, you can just put an emoji below, and I'll make sure I send you a link for that. I want to get that link finished. And this is a really, really fun exercise. I love to do it as a group because it really helps with co-regulation to be like, oh, your trauma response brain does that too. I thought it was just me. Like, no, this is like really very much first world um, mind control programming kind of stuff that many, many people think because we've had, I don't know, 3 to 4 generations of like constant barragement of fat phobia throughout these generations. So people just seem like this is inherent, right? So this is why we hear these statements and these things. So with, I'm not going to keep talking. I'll just go ahead and get started. So the first one I'm going to address here is my physical issues are attributed to weight, in particular my hip strength and mobility. And this person clearly is also doing a lot of really deep work in some supportive care and being able to like, again, unglue from that belief system, really look at it and like my values, what other reasons my hip strength and mobility not might be great. So for those of you who are in a similar position that haven't gone too deeply into this and some kind of mobility issue, is that typically when we work with people, we see over time, sometimes because of life circumstances, accidents, illnesses, just being overwhelmed and not being able to prioritize care. When I say care, I mean like walking, stretching, whatever. Over time, the less we move, the more sometimes stiff our body gets. And I think there's just a level, and as we age as well, we become less strong and mobile. And the biggest thing I see for people is that typically people, when they're dieting, they exercise, basically, as a means to an end. It's not joyful, it's just trying to burn calories, right? And when people aren't dieting or they're struggling emotionally in some kind of way, the movement kind of goes by the wayside. So we lose some of our strength and mobility. And to be able to put all those pieces like as a puzzle, like, well, why is my hip strength and mobility lessened? Well, for all those reasons. And my body is where it is right now because of all the things it's been through and survived, not because I'm lazy, not because I don't care. All right. So that's something really important to be a compassionate witness to, and then bring compassion. And it's so much, you don't take care of stuff you hate, basically. So you're hating your body and you're hating it for all the reasons that you weren't as mobile or active or whatever the situation was. To be perfectly fair, if you look at it circumstantially, that those judgments and those criticisms just aren't fair, right? So I hope this helps the person who wrote this. I hope this helps somebody else who's struggling with those kind of things. It's the thing that helps with strength and mobility. It's doing things that help with build strength and mobility. Weight loss doesn't fix that. You can lose weight, um, and maybe body movements are different, but you still would have to work on strength and mobility. So you might as well work on those qualities of self-care now and not put it off so you can just feel better. All right. Number 2 is that if I lost weight, my life would be better. So you can see, I'm sure the person who wrote this, they know that's not true because that's the point of this exercise is what are thoughts you still have, but you know they're not that helpful, but they happen. So I would be really curious. This is a little exercise. This is something you could try is look at something I call the thin fantasy, the thin dream. And it's kind of like a Disney princess kind of story, right? So it's like, okay, so if I get the body, we kind of romanticize all the things, right? It's like we get the body in the smaller size clothes, and we have no problems, and no one's ever mean to us, no one rejects us. We're always included, we're validated, all the things. All the Disney butterflies, the whole thing. Nothing, there's no problems. But the reality is, okay, you can force semi-starvation and try to force your body into a smaller size. But guess what? All the things that were happening will still be there when you have that smaller size. Now I'll get to the objection to this in a second. Well, okay, so I get a smaller size, but I still gotta feed the dog and do the dog training, and I've gotta pay the bills and navigate relationships and deal with coworkers, family members, whatever, when there's misattunements and troublesome stuff. So the smaller pant size doesn't fix any of these misattunements, doesn't fix emotional regulation, doesn't fix anything. You just have a smaller body. The objection that is usually first given is that, yeah, you're right, but it would be easier. I'm not saying it wouldn't be easier in the fat phobic culture. It's just that we know that scientifically the likelihood of that weight staying off more than 6 months to 2 years is about 5%. And so now you're back with all the emotional dysregulation issues that you started with. And now we've got to deal with a body that is like starving and is striving to get refed. And you're gaining that weight back plus some, plus all the baggage of the shame programming that would be pile on, right? Because of the worst thing that could ever happen to you is weight gain, right? All that stuff. So the reality is, and when we really unpack this, a lot of people are like, yeah, I've been smaller. It didn't make my life better. Now, does it make it easier? Certain things, of course, clothing, um, in terms of certain circumstances of travel or accommodations. Yes, it would be easier. There's no denial about that. Um, but what's the cost? It's always looking at what's the cost, right? To trying to fix every life situation that maybe, there are some things that just can't be fixed with weight loss. There are things in my life, personally, as a very, very super short person, that wouldn't change if I was taller. It would just be easier to reach the top cabinets, but I have to have assisted equipment, like pretty much everything I do if it's above my arm's reach, right? Because I climb the counters all the time like a child. I'm always getting step stools. Everywhere I go, I can't really always lift up and over and up. One, because of stature and strength, but also height. And so I don't hate myself for having to use step stools for everything or asking for help a lot for things. My body just can't do it. I don't hate myself for that. And the only reason I don't have a lot of shame about that because there's not um, I'm joking at myself, vertically challenged stigma. I don't have that on myself, and nor have I faced a lot of that. That's the only difference. So if we can see it like, oh, I hate myself because of a bias, not because I'm hateable or I did something wrong or I have a wrong body. So again, it's just really unblending from those old fantasies as well as from the old horror stories as well. Okay. So the last thing I'm going to do here tonight is my belly is a detractor. I think it's an interesting word to use. My belly is a detractor. It is the first thing that others notice. Okay. I always love the word when we say notice. Just to unpack this a little bit. The word notice means, oh, I noticed that I have I got all kinds of colors of pens and highlighters in this thing. I noticed those. All kinds of colors. That doesn't mean I judge the colors. Ugh, like I can't believe that pen is so green. That's a different thing. And so sometimes when people look at us, and if even being looked at, it brings up some like threat responses. The first thing you want to say is, um, why does it feel so hard to be seen? That's the first thing we want to unpack because people might notice us, see us, but it doesn't mean that um, there's any judgment inside going on. There may be, but if our only option to being seen is being judged or hurt, we've got some probably past memory time stuff to work on because I notice people all the time, but I don't have a value judgment against them. Um, And I think we have to realize, and I did talk about this in yesterday's video, so this might help this person too, is everything's in a bell-shaped curve in terms of like, I think, prejudice, right? So like there's people way off the chain over here that all they can obsess about is what people look like. And then there's people on the chain over here barely even notice you walk in the room. And then there's a majority of people that have different layers and levels of their own self-hatred and fat phobia, where they might notice you and just they notice you, but they're immediately in their own story about like themselves, right? And it's not really about you. So these are just some things to think about. And the belly is a detractor. You know, when I say detractor, that means it's taking away. So if you see a body part of yours as something being taken away, um, your body can't, your components of what your body looks like can't take away from your character, can't take away from your lovability, even if you experienced that in the past. They may not be happening to you in now time. Right? Again, this is not, we'll go back to the second one. And then I get it. It would be so much easier existing. I understand that. If our culture was like neutral, right, about body size, and there wasn't these hierarchies and all this really horrific stuff. There is fat prejudice, and I hate it. And there's fat phobia, and I hate it, and it's terrible. How do we navigate that? That's always the sense. So we have to heal from our insides of stop blaming ourselves and hating ourselves to be able to ride the waves if we're projected on. All right, so I hope that helps you all. Let me know if this video made sense to you, and we will hop on and keep on working on video 5 or 6, depending on the day. So thank you so much for watching, and I will take care, and you will take care. Bye for now.